Hi there.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Sorry, a few minutes late.
Oh, you're fine.
We just got him back from the vet, so
How did he get shots?
he got two.
How's he looking?
He looks good. He gained a pound,
Yeah, okay.
so they said he's on track, and that's it. I don't know. Where do dogs get shots? We haven't been able to go in to the vet. Do they get them in the tush?
Usually in the rear, yeah, and
Yeah.
like in the hind leg or something.
Yeah, we haven't actually stepped foot because they take him curbside right now. So we haven't even met the doctor. We haven't met anybody.
Yeah, no, I passed by that place. I have a client that lives right around the corner. And I
Okay.
was people waiting outside for their dogs.
Yeah.
And stuff. So yeah.
Crazy. But yeah, so he's good. We're getting there.
How'd it go this week?
This week was good. We had a lot of house accidents, more than I thought we would.
Okay.
I don't feel like he's being stretched the 3 hours because now, what was he, March 22nd birthday? So is he 11 weeks? Is that 11 weeks? That's not 12 weeks, right? We're at 11 weeks, I think. So I don't know, because I feel that our clock gets reset a lot.
Okay.
So he eats, then we take him 15 minutes to 30 minutes out. But then if he has one of his like super hyper spurts, then it's usually 15 minutes after that. Yeah. And he's having 2 to 3 of those. Like, I've just noticed the hyper spurts have increased this week alone. And it seems to be about the same time, but definitely he has one at about 8 o'clock at night. So then you're resetting 15 to 30 minutes after that because you know he's going to go. So I don't know. I don't feel like we're stretching him accordingly.
Okay. So let's say he starts zooming around.
Yeah.
And you time it, and then he stops, and you go, okay, 15 minutes, he's going to have to go, right? I just pop him in the kennel.
Oh, okay.
You know? Yeah, like it's personal preference, right? Because like let's say you let him out at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
He comes inside, and then immediately has a spurt, and you're like, that just took you out, right?
Yeah.
So he would technically be in there till 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Right? So people feel bad because they're like, oh, now my puppy's stuck in there for 3 hours. I'm like, well, if, there's no right or wrong here. So it's either, I go ahead and take him out to avoid that 15-minute, potty mistake.
Yeah.
Then start my clock. But at that point, then I'm making sure, like, if I see you look suspicious in 2 hours, I'm definitely popping you in that kennel. Otherwise,
versus taking him outside at the 2 hour mark, because then we're not stretching him.
Right.
Okay.
So it's personal preference.
Okay.
And I go by, like him being in a kennel more often than not now isn't a bad thing, Yeah. Unless like he's barking, then that's another issue that has to be corrected. But there's trainers that puppies are in the kennel like almost all day, and they're only out when they're training or when they're going to the bathroom.
Oh boy.
So I mean, obviously people aren't going to do that with their puppies, but and they're fine with it.
Yeah.
Like, because they don't know any better. And then once they're potty trained, they're like, then they go to a more normal, lifestyle.
Yeah.
So what's good is that you've learned his pattern.
Yes.
Okay. So then it's just, how do we adapt our potty training to that pattern?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're really giving 100% effort on the mats. He won't go on the mats outside at all. And we leash him and we keep him there, and we'll keep him there for 20 to 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then literally as soon as he walks off it, he pees or poops. And we're like, oh, man. So like, I don't know if we have to keep him there even longer.
So the way the way I would, to make the mat happen, right? Because I know you get the fake grass stuff, right?
Yes.
Is that it's not natural to him.
Yeah.
Okay? And I don't care what the advertisement says or the marketing and all that BS and the sprays, it's not natural. And it's a very low percentage of dogs that will do that. Okay.
Okay.
Now I can make it happen.
Yeah.
Okay? And the way I make it happen is if he doesn't potty on that patch, I'm picking him up and I'm carrying him to the kennel and he's in the kennel.
Okay.
Right? And then so for example, let's say I take him at 8 o'clock in the morning. I know he's got to go. I'm holding him. 15 minutes goes by, nothing. Back in the kennel. I'll give him his breakfast or whatever. And then, he eats and I pull it out. And then I wait till, 11 o'clock. So now I'm holding the potty from overnight plus from 8 to 11.
Okay.
So then maybe he has a potty mistake, right?
Yeah.
I clean him up at 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock. I would clean him up, take him back to the mat. Still no potty, back in the kennel.
Back in the kennel.
So there is no freedom.
Okay.
And the only option is the mat. So eventually he goes, they take me to this place. I got to go to the bathroom. I don't go. I go in my kennel. I go in the kennel. It's gross.
Yeah.
Then I got to sit there with it. Then I go back to the mat. I don't go. I go back in the kennel.
Yeah.
Because I've had to do this a couple of times, And the only time it really matters is if the owner really needs this specific thing to happen.
Okay.
Because if he's pottying on the walks outside, if he's pottying on grass, you have to make every time he potties on that mat in order for him to understand or learn this is where I go.
Well, see, and that's the problem because we ideally would like to walk him out front. This is really for the morning or really for the nighttime walk. And I know that because it's not 100% consistent, maybe sending the mixed message because again, at 10 o'clock, I don't want to walk him out on the streets. Mm-hmm. So I either concede to let him go where he wants, because if I'm taking him out during the day to go out front on the street, he's really only going to that mat twice a day.
Right. And I think I remember we had talked about this. So let's say that morning potty.
Yeah.
That's where it starts. Right. So I take him out 15 minutes, nothing, back in the kennel.
Okay.
Cause that's the one where we know he's got to go. Right. Every dog, every puppy in the morning has to at least pee, probably poop, right? Force is the wrong word, but that's how I make that happen.
Got it.
Hey, I'm not going to wait out here for an hour for you. You're just going straight in that kennel. And if you poop in there and it sucks, well, then next time when I take you out to the mat, better go.
Do you leave the poop in there instead of cleaning it immediately?
Correct.
To let them sit with it?
Correct.
Okay.
Now that's where the size of the kennel comes into play, right?
Yeah.
But that's all play it by ear stuff, but I'm leaning more towards he'd most likely need a smaller space with no absorbent surface and maybe a flat plastic bin to protect the flooring.
Yeah.
So poops, it really sucks. And then I just keep repeating that process. And then, it would take longer if you're still doing morning, evening only on the mat and middays outside.
Yeah.
Because he still has that option.
Got it.
Did I talk to you guys about the Yorkie that I had to train to go into the litter box?
No.
So, the Yorkie needed to be trained to go in a litter box because the husband had a stroke and he was partially paralyzed.
Got it.
And he worked upstairs and he couldn't be going downstairs all day because of his condition. Yeah. And the wife worked all day. So what we had to do was I told them, you take the puppy to the litter box and you keep him there and on the leash, 5-10 minutes. If he doesn't potty, he's back in the kennel. If he soils the kennel, you don't clean him. You leave him to the next outing. Next outing, they would clean him, back to the litter box. No potty, back in the kennel, right? And I swear to God, for 2 weeks, that puppy lived in the kennel.
Yeah.
For 2 weeks, lived in the kennel. And, you know, it was hard, but eventually the puppy broke and finally went in the litter box. And we rewarded him with food, and then he got his freedom that day. And then he had more time in the kennel because he digressed. And it was just this back and forth. But I think on the second week, he finally caved, pottied in the litter box. And then by week 4, it was getting super easy, where eventually he picked it up and he would just go there.
And he would just go.
But we had to eliminate it.
Leashed or unleashed? Now does he just go there?
Oh yeah, now he just goes. Now he knows, because now he recognized the litter box, because it was completely consistent. 100% of the time, he either potted in the litter box or he potted in the crate. And if you potted in the crate, that was the deterrent, right? So then after time, so 4 weeks was when it was really just started taking off, is that he started searching for the litter box and pottying on his own there, kind of like a cat.
Interesting.
You know, that's what they needed.
Yeah.
But you know, to make that happen, it was super strict. And I had another client who wanted their dog to go on the balcony, but the balcony was windy and it would spook the dog. And I told them, well, you know, it's not natural for a dog to go on the balcony, and plus you have the wind factor. And it was the same exact process of, you know, you have to eliminate everything else in order to make your dog go there. And they had success, but then they because they had an adult dog, they ended up giving up, because it was a bigger mess to clean, you know.
Got it.
But you have a little puppy, so it's easier now.
Yeah.
You know, so it comes down to, do you really want him to go on the mat? The other option is, of course, the fake grass that I told you about, the grass patch thing.
Yes.
Fresh patch.
Oh, that's right. It's fresh grass.
Yeah, because that's natural to him.
Yeah.
That's sense. That I would think you would find more success, because that's like grass, like outside.
Okay. Then do I always have to get, or is once he learns that spot, it'll be that spot?
Right. So then, because I remember when we spoke, you had like a run area for the kids where he's not allowed to potty, but there's like fake grass there, correct?
Yes. And the problem is we've got his fake grass mats on top of fake grass. So, you know what I mean? So I'm banking on the fact that he'll remember the spot, because believe me, he has no problem going on our fake grass. You just won't go in the spot that I've designated.
Yeah, that's funny.
So, because my son's like, they're both the same. How does he know? I'm like, well, I'm thinking he's going to remember how far we walk him each time to get here. And
it can happen.
Yeah.
Know? So the fake grass patch, like, what is it, like 12 by 12 inches?
I got a bigger one, but I actually put 2 together to make it a little bit more, you know, because the little ones are almost a joke. I'm like, you can't even turn on those. He's under here, honey. So I bought 2 to put together. So it's a decent size.
Sure. When he does it on the kids run, is it on a leash or is it when he's loose?
When he's loose.
Okay. So it kind of sounds like he's not liking the restriction of the leash, which isn't a problem, because he's got to learn to get over that. You know? So I don't think it's so much that he's opting to go. How you doing, Mike?
Hi, how's it going?
Go on the kids' fake grass, more so that it's the freedom and him having more area to sniff and kind of search around for the right spot.
Yeah.
You know, because if you see people with their dogs, you'll see the dog sniffing and circling and covering all this ground.
Yeah.
And then like, oh, here, right? So I think that's more so why he's doing it there, as opposed to actually learning to go on that fake grass, as opposed to the fake grass you want him to go on.
Got it. Okay.
Makes sense? Yeah. So if you really need it to happen, you know, to have it happen faster, it would be eliminate all options. He's either going on the fake grass that we designated, or he's in the kennel.
Yeah. So if
you know, and like
in there after 15, 20 minutes, you put him back in his house.
Okay. So, and you know, like that Yorkie, he might be living in the kennel for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
That's the kind of force him to finally go on the grass patch.
So it's a matter of how much tough love we're willing to institute. What it all
And
comes
I'm
down
willing to because I remember this couple because when the puppy soils the kennel and they bark and yip, it's not without reason.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, like it's dirty in here,
Yeah.
right? But it's kind of like, well, if we need him to do this, it's like too bad. So they would have to correct him, while he was in the kennel and he was barking his butt off. And it was, since he felt validated, the corrections had to be harsher to kind of override that.
Okay.
Because we have to balance things out. So, the other option is, of course, the fresh patch, and you can get them in different sizes, and all that. And in terms of replacement, I had one client, I think she had hers come every, because she had a tiny one, like a 12 by 12, and she had a little tiny 3-4 pound Yorkie. And it was like every week or 2 weeks, because it was so small. And then she expanded to like a bigger one, and it was once a month.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But you have to, of course, pick up the poop, because if you leave the poop on the fresh patch, it'll deter them because it's too much, feces in one spot.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
Because then I've also noticed when he has accidents in his home, in the house, he's doing it near where his bowls are. Because, we pull his bowls when he's done eating.
Huh.
Is that normal? I would think that'd be the last place he'd want to poo and pee.
Yeah. I mean, typically, yeah, dogs don't want to pee or poop where they eat and sleep.
Yeah.
It's really rare when I'll get a dog that doesn't have that kind of instinct. I wouldn't. Where is it, by a corner, his bowls and stuff?
We kind of cut off a hallway.
It's in a hallway, yeah.
In our dining room, so we put a mesh gate in front of it so he could see out. I mean, I can show you.
Yeah.
As our temporary spot, we were going to hopefully have it in the pantry, but so if you can see, it's right there.
Sure. And where does he pee typically? Like right on that little area?
Yeah, like kind of we've got a little black mat with it.
Yeah.
And he'll just pee right there.
Interesting. How old is he again? Oh, he's like 11, 12 weeks, you said? Let's see here. Oh, sorry, your audio cut out.
Oh, I hit mute. Sorry.
There you go.
Yeah. So.
All right, that's kind of early for marking behavior. Anywhere else in the house that he does it consistently or frequently?
No.
Oh, well, that's not true. On the rug. We laid our rug, we put plastic over it.
Yeah.
Well, but not one spot on there.
Oh, I guess not.
But it's the rug itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. But is the plastic still on it?
Probably because he knows we don't want him to go there.
Yeah.
Is what I'm thinking.
Is it still covered in plastic?
It is. Because
Okay.
I don't trust him at all.
Yeah. No. So that's not uncommon.
Okay.
The plastic's good. If you see he keeps visiting it, so again, dogs don't think, grass, carpet. They just think absorbent surface. And even though you have the plastic on there, it's still soft to touch in comparison to the floor.
Okay.
Right? So if we see that being a consistent habit, I just pull it up. Even though it's protected, it's still incentivizing him to go on that spot. Okay.
Got it.
The peeing over by his food stuff is weird.
Okay.
Now, when you've cleaned his potty, light yellow, clear.
We cut back the water per our last conversation, so it's definitely getting lighter.
Okay.
Or no, darker.
Yeah. Okay, darker. Yeah.
It's getting darker because we cut back the water to 2 ounces per per feed is where we're at.
And how much does he weigh now?
8 pounds, 8 ounces. He just came from the vet an hour ago.
Okay, so he's probably up about 3. If you're doing 3 feedings, 3 ounces.
3 ounces?
Yeah,
okay.
3 ounces per pound. So that would equal to 9, just tiny over what he's at now.
Okay.
Yeah, they were pleased with his weight gain.
Okay.
So.
Man, he looks bigger than 8 pounds.
I know.
I think it's all hair.
It's the fur.
I think it's all.
We thought that too, and we're like, oh God, was he just getting chubby?
We're like, we got a chunk on our hands.
Yeah. No, when I saw him right now, he looked like a 12 to 14 pound.
Oh my God.
And then when he's done with his feedings, you're pulling the water up, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, you're not leaving it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we got potty mistakes. 15 minutes after he zooms around, and when else are you noticing him having an issue?
I feel like it's after his little hyper.
Honestly, it's like never in the morning, because in the morning he has a really good routine. Like that's when he's at his best. And then now, since like everybody's home all the time, I feel like we have less structure. Like if in a normal situation, the kids would be at camp or they'd be at school.
Sports.
Her and I would be home all day, but we would be on like a schedule, right? Now it's absolute chaos. So like we'll go outside and he'll run around and play, and then he'll come in and then he'll run around and play, and then he'll pee. And so I think we just need to get on I think if we had a better schedule.
Oh, good luck during this time. I mean,
I think it would be a little bit easier to like monitor it, but.
Is he getting any time in the kennel?
Yes. Yeah, whenever.
Not as much as we think he should.
Okay.
But he's in there and he has no problem being in there. We'll put him in if he's sleeping. We'll put him in.
Right, but he had suggested 4 hours a day of like uninterrupted.
Right.
He's not getting that.
No. No.
The truth comes out.
Yes. Jada needs to hear this.
You hear that? I'm looking at you.
He still wants him to be in his crate uninterrupted.
So right now he's sleeping underneath the table. Who let him out? He was just in the crate. Not me. Did you let him out?
No, she just came downstairs. All right. Juliana, can you get off the floor, please?
Got a dog and a child underneath the table right now.
So, let's say I was working with another puppy, right?
Yeah.
What helps the owner, pre-COVID, what helps the owner is that potty training it's partially the schedule, right? Every 2-3 hours, whatever is appropriate. But where the puppy's learning to hold it the longest is actually when they're out at work. So like, let's say they work their 9 to 5, the puppy would be in the kennel for 4 hours. Dog walker would come, let the puppy out, then back in the kennel another, 4 or 5 hours. Then owner comes home 5:30, lets the puppy out, and then, they go on to the routine.
Yeah.
So they're able to push the puppy to like a 4 to 5 hour, like teaching them to hold it for that long because they're in the kennel for that period.
Got it.
Yeah, and I would imagine that's so much easier because the dog's uninterrupted. There's not a whole lot of noise. They're just kind of laying around, in and out of sleep. So yeah, we do need to do a little bit better job of that, I feel like, because the kids, when they're around and they're engaged, all they want to do is play with them. So that leads us to more accidents.
Yeah. Is there any pattern to your kids' schedule? Like, I know you said they would be in daycare or not camp or school.
Right now, with everything being canceled, like zero, because we have.
Yeah, we have zero schedule.
They were all supposed to go to camps and do sports, and I mean, everything's off the table.
Give them 8 hours of chores.
I know.
Nice.
That'd be nice. I'm fully in support of child labor. Child labor is a winner.
Yeah. So, all right. I think that's a big reason, because when my clients are struggling with potty stuff, it's typically too much freedom.
Yeah.
and there's nothing to kind of counter that. If they're not utilizing their crate, so like I get clients who will crate their puppies when they're gone, and they want to potty train their puppy. I'm like, well, if you're gone for 5 hours, your puppy's gonna go wherever.
Yeah.
And they'll insist on not using the kennel, and I'll tell you, like, I can't help you if you don't use that crate.
Yeah.
So I think definitely at least 4 hours a day. Like that's like nothing in comparison to what it should be. Like ideally, I would say recreate a 9 to 5 schedule.
Okay.
Or whatever the schedule would be. If your kids would be home at 3:30 and they would be gone at 8, then it'd be an 8 to 3:30 kennel time schedule.
Yeah.
And then after that, we start our regular routine, and then the kids can play with them, and you'd still have potty mistakes because obviously if they're interacting with them, there's more movement. But at least it'd be far and few in between. Because
on average, do most dogs, once they've gotten through this phase, they go twice a day?
Yeah, like my guys, like the norm is in the morning, after work, before bed.
Okay.
3 times is the typical day. My guys will go twice a day. Sometimes they'll go once a day.
Yeah.
Like if there's a storm, they hate going outside. They'll hold it for 24 hours before they go to the bathroom. And me, like when I was completely booked, I'd leave like 8 or 9. They'd potty just before I left, and I wouldn't be back till 8 or 9 at night. And then they would potty again, and then they were done.
Yeah.
But I train my dogs exactly how I'm instructing you guys. Like if they pottied in the kennel, I didn't clean it. They had to sit there with it. I put them on a very strict routine. And then now they have animals are very good about self-control when it comes to their body mechanics. It's just a matter of teaching them to do that,
Okay.
And of course, when they're senior citizens and they're older, like it's not going to be the same, but that's not their fault. That's just age.
Okay.
But if they're in the prime, they're young, perfectly doable. It's not torture, it makes your life less frustrating.
Okay.
Jada, do you hear that? Are you listening?
It's amazing.
Welcome to having a puppy during quarantine.
I know.
Yeah. No, and honestly, like you tend to think like something like this is going to be easier because there's just more hands on deck.
No.
But it's actually more difficult because we can't get into a groove in terms of a schedule.
Well, because if we were home working and they were at school, we can leave them in the 4 hours and go work somewhere else and do what we need to do. But it's just a lot of coming and going, and it's craziness.
Well, and the good news is that he actually likes his crate.
He does. He'll just go in there because we kind of leave the door open. And
in the 2 weeks we've had him, he's had 3 accidents in the crate.
Okay.
Which
I
personally I chalked that up to a win, and we didn't have any whining or crying or anything like that for that first couple weeks. People were telling us horror stories of separation anxiety and all this stuff.
It's bad.
Yeah, so we didn't have any of that. Who knows? Maybe he didn't like his mom and his sister.
Maybe he didn't.
He's like, good riddance.
He grew up in Texas. He's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah. He likes the Midwest.
Yeah, no. Separation anxiety is one of the hardest things to fix. And I had a dog even chew its tail off.
Oh.
It gets bad. It gets real bad.
Wow.
They'll tear up their nose and stuff just trying to break out the kennel. Yeah. So
that's crazy.
How much time is he spending in the kennel on average a day?
I would have to say not sleeping at night. I would say probably 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half.
Oh, he's in there more than that.
You think?
Yes.
During the day?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, are you just saying that because he's here?
Please, I got nothing to hide. But I think he's in there more than that. No?
Yeah, I would maybe 2 hours, I would say.
Is this on his own or because you put him in there?
Both.
Okay.
Yes. That's both on that.
Oh, I do have a question for you. Every morning, the last like 4 mornings I've woken up with him, I'll go over to his crate and he won't want to get out.
Sure.
So do I just let him sit in there as long as he wants, right? I mean, I opened up the door.
Come out for a potty break. Like I just pick him, bring him out, do our business, and then bring him back in. Like, it's not a bad thing, right? Like it's good that he does it. But if it's like, you got to take him out, then I do that, make sure that's done, and then place him back, or he can go back in there if you want.
Yeah, because clearly he's not going to get up and get out unless he needs to.
Yeah.
It was just funny because like the first week we had him, when I would come down in the morning, he would be clawing at the gate ready to come out.
Yeah.
And now he's like, what are you doing here? Basically, he's like looking at me like.
He sleeps in a fur bed. Who wouldn't like that?
He's like, I'm quite happy here, actually.
It's fine.
So,
what I would do is, so let's say, alarm goes off at 7:30 and you're there to take him out like on the clock every day, right? Is I would use that to my advantage that, sometimes he's a little bit more like lax. And if I come down and he looks like he's settled, I might go finish getting ready, for the day before coming back and letting him out. Just to prevent, like for some puppies, it's like the alarm goes off and they're out the door within 2 minutes, right? So then like the owner decides one day, like I'm gonna sleep in, and they hit that snooze button, but then the puppy's over here barking like, yo, it's been 2 minutes, where you at?
Yeah.
So I would do that, actually, like sometimes either take them out or other times finish getting ready to avoid building such a rigid schedule that he expects to go out to potty. Because I know we have our positives with his personality type, right? But you can always change that according to what you do. Okay, so just because he's nice and calm in the kennel with no separation anxiety doesn't mean it won't be like it will be that way in 2 months or a month or when he's 6 months.
Got it. Okay.
So like, I know we spoke last time about your girls not petting him or
over it
petting him when he's in the kennel and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So like, if he gets used to attention like that could potentially create something. And there's no guarantee. For all I know, he could not care. But it's more so like once it happens, it's harder to fix than it is to prevent.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah, she doesn't do that anymore, which is good.
Good.
And, now she's not fully, but like almost engaged with him all the time because he's not biting.
He's not nipping the sprays. We've been pretty diligent with the spray.
Good.
Yeah, he's gotten a lot better. It's like there's like one time a day
when he's like just ready to rip and have
like
fun.
Full on psycho. He just wants to like jump and bite and have fun. And it's always like right around 5, 6 o'clock where he's just ready to go.
Yeah. The witching hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super common with puppies. How do you feel about it?
I mean,
I just view it as blowing off steam.
Yeah, we tell the kids to like take him outside and just run him in the yard.
Okay.
And then he'll usually pee as a result of it too, because he's all wound up.
Yeah, because we put him down at about 10, which is funny because we typically stay up much later. So now all of a sudden it's like a ghost town at 10 o'clock on this floor because he's in his crate. Where normally he and I are up till midnight. So
we usually just like lately with the dog, we just have kind of vacated the premises
at 10
because we just don't want to make a bunch of noise,
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
On the basement, watch TV. Let's do it that way.
Oh, we could. I didn't even think about that. Because at some point, like we put him down at 10 and he's getting up with him at 5:45. At some point, I hope that's going to change.
Yeah, I don't want to get up with him at 5:45.
No.
What time do you want to get up?
Like you said, 7:30 would be fantastic.
Then I would just sit out to 7 o'clock and see what happens.
Yeah.
Do that tomorrow.
If he gets up at 5:45 and he's still in there chilling, then I would just try that starting tomorrow.
All right. Get up at 7 and see if he has an accident or not. Yeah, because 5:45 sucks. If you don't need to be up.
Yeah, no, I would just push for 7 and see what happens. And then if it's not an issue, then the next day 7 and 7 and 7. And then if you want to push it to 7:30, push to 7:30.
Okay.
You know, I will say, if you push it to 7 and he's not barking, which is good, that's the main thing, is that he's not barking. Is if you do come down to a potty mistake, consistently pushing that hour and 15 minutes, I would make sure to run him out just before bed.
Well, we do that anyway. So we put him down at 10, we take him to the spot, and we get a pee out of him.
Yeah, that's every single night. Take him out, make sure he at least pees, and then he goes back. He goes down for the night.
Okay. So this is right before that 10 o'clock time?
Yeah.
That's fine. Then I would, just check it out. See, he should be able to hold it. The only thing that I would see is potentially he starts barking because he's like, yo, you're late.
You're late.
Is
that something you just have to kind of fight through for the first couple of days?
Yeah. So what ends up happening is he's on a body clock. Dogs are really good about body clocks.
Okay.
Which is why schedules work really well. So if you set your alarm for 7, his body clock goes off 5:45, 6-ish. He's like, hey, I'm in here, you're late. And then he starts barking. You ignore it. 15 minutes later, he goes, all right, well, I barked. Guess I'm going to pee now.
Yeah.
He's in the crate, right? So that's normal. So then I just ignore it for a few days to see if he learns. If I wake up early and I bark, no one's going to answer. And if I pee, no one's going to come either. And I have to sit here with it until 7 o'clock.
Got it.
And it deters the potty mistake. But you have to go through that little rough period of ignoring the dog and coming down expecting to see a potty mistake and just letting it ride for a couple of days until eventually, hopefully, that body clock resets.
Okay.
Otherwise, what I do is, wake up instead of at 5:45, wake up at 6 or 6:15, like push it 15 minutes or half an hour.
Yeah.
For a few days, and then push it a little bit more, then a little more.
Got it. Okay.
Other questions with that?
That'd be nice. What else? We changed his food.
Okay, how's that going?
Loves it.
Seamlessly. Like we mixed the first one a little bit initially, and he wolfed it. So we're like, screw it, we're going for broke. And the next one, and
yeah, he's fine.
He's fine.
Okay. So what you switch to?
Froms.
Okay. So From, how's his water intake look since eating From?
He definitely is thirsty, but that also could be a combination of just running him around and all that kind of stuff outside too. But
have
you not had good exposure to From?
From is one of the brands that I found dehydrates puppies.
Oh, okay.
It's From, Prairie, Instinct, Origin.
Yeah, Origin was the other one at Bentley's that they had.
And there's a 5th one that I always forget.
One starts with Z. He gave us samples of it.
Signature?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one I like.
Oh, okay.
So I've had many puppies where people are doing everything by the book, and the puppy's peeing everywhere. And I'll ask them, what are you feeding the dog? And they'll say, Origin, From. And I'll say, switch to Signature. And a week later, done. Because it's just the puppy being dehydrated and drinking more water.
Interesting.
Okay. So, if you want to keep them on, so some puppies can handle it, but it's very rare. It's super rare that they can handle it. And the reason is, From has a very high protein percentage.
And we bought the puppy mix.
Typically, From's like around 30-something% protein, which seems good, but when you have your typical family pet doesn't need that high of a percentage.
Now, is that just because of weight, or what are you basing that on?
But the protein percentage?
Yeah.
It's more so for like working dog. Like, my stepdad has he has dogs that herd sheep, and he feeds them that type of food because of the high protein, because they burn through so much calories and nutrition.
So that was 27. Where was the signature? I thought he gave us a signature.
I remember.
Stella and Chewy's. He gave us all these samples. Wait, I thought I think it fell out.
Yeah, if it started with the Z, it was most likely, signature.
I remember seeing it. It probably fell out of the bag.
So if you keep them on the From, I don't have a problem with it because it is a good food. I've just come across many puppies in the past that were on From and had lots of peeing potty issues, and then as soon as they were switched to signature, like literally within the week, it would just be a 180.
Okay.
Because you are still only giving him, the appropriate amount of water, right? Like he's getting, you said 2 ounces a meal currently?
Yes, currently.
That would be 6 ounces of water. Well, he gave you a lot of stuff.
I know.
Yeah, he gave us a ton of stuff.
Samples. Oh, here it is.
Oh.
There's 3 different kinds.
Lamb formula. So this is limited ingredient.
Salmon, duck. And what's that one?
And they're all limited ingredient.
Yeah. I used to feed my dog signature. And it's an all life stages food. So puppy, adult, senior.
But this has more protein. It's 28.
That's interesting. I'm wondering if they changed their puppy.
This one's 29. These are all signatures. This one's 27, the duck. But it's not a puppy formula.
Yeah, because it's all life stages.
Because the guy was telling me for puppies, they want more because they're growing. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's personal preference. From may have changed their formula because what I remember used to be 33 to 37% protein.
Oh wow! Okay.
And all these foods had the same protein percentage, and I just noticed, lots of peeing mistakes. And then most foods hover around 24 to 20 something percent. Okay. I'm fine with him being on From because it is a good food. But if you see that the potty mistakes persist, I would gamble and switch him to signature.
Okay.
It's all life stages. So it doesn't matter, puppy, adult, or senior dog. They can eat whatever food, any one of those foods.
So stay away from salmon. That's 29%.
It should be fine because it's still underneath that 33 to 37%. And it's also the way they bind the food. They use, I think it's sugar, some kind of like glucose, which dehydrates dogs in order, it's partially the binding process. So like when people switch their dogs from the milk that they were getting from the mom to kibble, there's always some degree of dehydration because of the kibble.
Okay.
So that's why like dogs that eat raw food drink less water because they get water from the raw meat that they get.
Yeah.
But kibble has to be, dehydrated and processed, which then, creates that food. So when the dogs eat it, they're being dehydrated. So there's always some degree of dehydration. Some brands just dehydrate more than others.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. So I'd see how he does with the From. And if you notice, like, the potty mistakes, partially it's getting them to actually go outside, right?
Yeah.
And then, if you're recognizing after 15 minutes of running around play and you're, putting them away, or if you're running them out to avoid that problem, if you're still getting potty mistakes, then there's something's off.
Okay. What else did he give us? Stella and Chewy's raw coated kibble. Like, do I just chuck these?
It's good. I mean, you could use it as toppers, for his main food.
Got it. Just to kind of mix it up a little bit.
Yeah. And I always do that prior. Like I don't want to put the food down and then if he turns his nose at it, like I put it away, or I'm sorry, add something then, because then he learns if I like wait long enough, he'll add something. I do it.
Yeah. Okay.
And then just keep note that when you add those other types of foods in, keeping an eye on his stool. If you, let's say for instance, you put that Stella and Chewy in there, and like the next time he goes to poop, it's just diarrhea.
Yeah.
I would make a note of that.
We did give him some carrots, and I was the lucky recipient of that poo.
I don't know that it went through his system that quickly.
It was chunkage. It's like corn where they didn't break it down. So, because we Googled, like, can you give dogs vegetables and carrots? And it said, yes, just make it super bite-sized so they don't choke. So he cuts them up and put it in his food. And I literally had chunks late this morning.
Sure.
Was that your gift to me? That was very nice.
Well, he liked it.
Yeah, the foods you want to stay away from are grapes, raisins, onions, garlic, artificial sweetener, and avocado. And it's funny because I've even seen some brands of food have avocado in the food. So that one, it's kind of like, I don't know.
I mean,
anytime you want to give them
should
something
we be
new,
doing that to mix it up? Like just to throw, like we had a little extra carrot from our dinner and it was time to feed him. And he's like, maybe I'll just cut some of this up. It was a grilled carrot.
Sure.
Nothing on it. And just give it to him, or don't even bother.
No, I'm not opposed to it. I mean, it sucks eating the same thing every day, right?
Yeah.
So like I rotate my dog's foods, and like I hate wasting food. So like they've had Chipotle, they've had, some of my meatball sub, they've had Doritos,
Yeah.
But their nutrition comes from their food.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to give them a better diet, I would switch them to raw.
Okay.
But I don't have time for that, so I just feed them kibble, and then maybe one day I'll feed them raw. But other than that, I'll add like McDonald's fries, on from time to time. But just as like, I don't want to throw this away. Here you go.
Got it. Okay. All right.
Anything else?
Anything you think of?
I made the mistake of asking the vet about a steak bone. Probably shouldn't have done that.
Why? What did he say? Or what they say?
He gave him the hell
He
no.
said, well, it wasn't like he just said, Jada, you got to take your backpack off the ground.
You have something in your backpack, honey, that he wants.
Take them off.
Take it off the ground, please.
So he just said he doesn't recommend any kind of food bones because they'll break down into like shards that he could choke on.
That's chicken bones.
Yeah, he did mention chicken bones, but I said I had a really nice steak bone I wanted to give him. Mm-hmm. And he said, I wouldn't. I don't recommend it. So
Sure. Personal preference, I've given my dogs all sorts of shit since they were puppies. And they're happy.
Yeah.
I know. I have a sweet bone.
Yeah, he was pretty excited about it.
I can't wait to give it to him just to see him go absolutely bananas for it.
The only thing I would do is if I gave that bone to my puppy of mine, is I would limit it for 10 to 15 minutes and then I would remove it. So that because of the enzymes, I'm expecting some loose stool. So if I let him go ham, I know there's going to be a diarrhea coming, right? So I would just limit it for 10 to 15 minutes until he can process, But the way I look at it is, if dogs were still in the wild, the mom feeds them milk and then she starts hunting and they start eating raw meat and squirrels and birds and whatever they can hunt and kill and tear apart, But definitely cooked chicken bones or cooked fowl bones are bones you do not want to give a dog because those do splinter and can get caught in the throat. Yeah. But personal preference.
When a dog, so he had diarrhea this morning. I think it was your carrots. I just cleaned up diarrhea.
He didn't have diarrhea when I took him out.
He didn't. I guess as things work through their system, at what point do you say maybe we should change something? Is it a day of diarrhea? Is it 2 days of diarrhea?
So the first day is usually the worst. Okay. So like, let's say it's just full on explosive watery diarrhea.
Oh,
okay?
We're not there. It's just super soft.
Then the next day you look at it and it's like 30 to 40% what it was before.
Got it.
Then the next day, 70%. That's good. It's a pretty.
As long as you're seeing progression.
Correct. Now, if it's explosive diarrhea one day to explosive diarrhea the next day to your dog looking lethargic, then I go, there's cause for concern.
Okay.
Because puppies are, in my book, are notorious for random diarrhea and vomiting bouts because they're just.
God, we haven't had the vomiting yet. What?
They're learning to digest. Their body's building up all these things that it needs to digest stuff.
Okay.
You know, so you know, it's just part of the
process. Easier
process.
than our 3 children.
What's that?
The dog's supposed to be easier than our 3 children. So I thought I was done with vomit.
Yeah, that's why I recommend that people rotate their proteins now so they get it out the way while it's still a puppy. Okay. You know, and then as opposed to when they're older, and then it's, you know, they haven't been exposed to it for so long. But yeah, like I had a client whose dog didn't vomit for like the first year and a half of its life. And then finally, when she threw up for the first time, they were like calling me in a panic and speeding to the vet. I'm like, everybody throws up, you know, like at some point, like she's perfectly fine. So.
Yikes. Hopefully we'll get to hold off on that a little bit. Okay. I did just jinx it. Damn it.
I always go by the dog's behavior. You know, as long as they don't look lethargic, like you'll see a clear difference in their behavior, in their manners.
Okay.
That's where I go. That's cause for concern.
Okay.
And you guys know about the chicken and white rice?
Oh, to firm it up, right?
Right. So like, if you had really bad diarrhea, you would make a bland chicken and white rice. And so if he eats 2 cups a day, the meal would be, you know, 2 cups of white rice and chicken.
Okay.
And then you feed that, and then you slowly start to wean them back to the kibble.
Okay.
You know, if it's really bad diarrhea, you can do that to help firm it up. Cheese also helps firm up diarrhea or loose stool because it's a binder. And then you just gradually work them back to their kibble.
Got it. Okay.
So.
Good stuff.
Anything else?
No, I think he's good.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Have you started any kind of training with food with him?
For like sit and stay, like, no.
Yeah. I would start that, you know, and you can have the kids do it. Just for like the obedience stuff. Because this is pretty typical of FYI information for puppies. And then typically around this point is when people start transitioning to doing actual obedience training. So the sits, the downs, the stays, you know, just the real basic stuff. Don't expect anything amazing because it's real basic training with food. But if you want to have like the kids watch YouTube videos on how to train a dog, how to sit, like there's plenty of stuff out there.
Okay.
And then for the next class, I wouldn't feed Bocce before class so that he's hungry, so that we can use that, you know, to our advantage when we're doing stuff. And if you want to have the kids, like I can work with your children on training stuff, you know. And then, you know, we could start it with any FYI or any questions you might have, and then transition to, okay, kids, let's train the Bocce now.
Okay.
Okay. And they can teach them whatever. I can always jump in and see what they're doing and help them improve it.
Okay. So maybe we'll have them watch some videos and take a go at it this week, and you take a look on next call and see where we're at.
Yeah. Okay. And it's real simple stuff.
How do you what? How do you get him to pay attention? Watch a YouTube video. Because I was watching somebody from, I think it's a company called Canine Companions. And I mean, literally everything the dog did, it was treat, treat, treat. And I felt like she gave him like 20 in a matter of 4 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's how food training goes.
Okay.
So in terms of obedience and control for Bocce, everybody's life with their dog is going to be different. Okay. At this stage, in his age, it's real simple, you know, treat, sit down, you know, paw type of stuff. In the future, like once a dog is 6 months is when I do big boy training. Okay. So like the common issue with positive only is that in the real world, it's not applicable because there's more things that are rewarding than the treats.
Okay.
Right. So if you'd rather go sniff and play with the dog, he's not going to care about the chicken in your hand. He wants to play with the dog.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where more advanced techniques come into play. Either with prong collar. I specialize in remote collar. I do off leash obedience, but it comes down to whether or not that's what the family's needing. You know, like if someone's like, I'm never going to take my dog off leash and I only go to the dog park and I don't care about chasing my dog around when they don't come, then I'm like, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
But if the owner's like, yeah, I go hiking and I go up to the lakefront, you know, or I go to a cabin at the lake and there's deer and there's squirrels and raccoons and all that stuff, then I'll tell them like, you want to off leash train your dog because you don't want to lose them in the woods.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's all. That's, you know, that's later on. But right now it's real basic food stuff, real simple.
Okay.
It's like, you know, kindergarten stuff right now.
That's got to affect the way they eat during that phase, though. I mean, if they're getting all these treats by the time lunch rolls around or dinner, depending on what you've given them.
Right. So what you can do is instead of feeding them his lunch or his breakfast kibble, like have the kids make that training time and use his kibble.
Okay.
You know, so they could do like, you know, because was it 2 girls and a son?
Uh-huh.
So one can do breakfast, one does lunch, one does dinner, you know, so they each have their turn. And then, but he's still getting his meal throughout the day.
Okay.
Okay. So
and you just make it his dog food as the treat.
Correct. Now, if we find he's not that motivated, then I start to incorporate treats and stuff. And then I just wouldn't do 3 sessions a day because then he'll be a little chunker.
Got it.
But you're just, how do you say, adjusting his food to the treat, the caloric intake.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Anything else?
I think we're good.
All right. So
yeah, thank you.
Excuse me?
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah.
So have the kids start that stuff, watch some YouTube videos, you know, they can teach them whatever they want and I can chime in at any point. And then if any questions pop up, just let us know.
Perfect.
Appreciate it.
Right. Awesome.
All right. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.